Right, Ledgers, can everybody hear me? And what chart can you see? Once we get the green light, we'll begin. All good? Okay. So, everybody having a good weekend? Right. Good. See what Bitcoin brings this week. Okay, so let's get the beginning out the way with, and then we'll begin. So, welcome to the weekly live Bitcoin update video. Before we start, I just want to say thanks to our sponsor, PrimeXBT, for making this happen. You can show them some appreciation by signing up to their platform using the link in the description. If you use the code TraderSZ, you'll also get a 50% deposit bonus. Finally, just a reminder that nothing discussed today constitutes financial advice, and you should always do your own research before doing any kind of investing or trading. Okay, so like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So we'll do our usual. We'll start off with briefly going over some of last week's setups. Okay, there's one setup I want to go over, and it will be what's it called, a good example of how where some things are going to plan. So there's a question on when I exit early. So because I think we've got an example of that for this week, we'll go over that and then the plans for next week. Okay, so let's get going, and towards the end, probably a couple of minutes of questions. Okay, so what were the plans from last week? So the two plans were, we spoke about, I'm going to use two charts. I'm going to use this one. Oops, daisy. Yeah, this one is a bit more cleaner. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use these two. Okay, so that's why we were changing between the two. So you should all know from last week's live stream the two key levels. One was obviously November's range, okay, that we marked out last week, but it was also this, the low that caused that high, and this low here. Okay, that's in last stream, so if you missed that, you can catch up with it afterwards. So I don't want to spend too much time repeating that. But the setups from last week were, with what we had to work with, we identified two levels to use for scalping. So one was, we had this key level, and we had a range forming, okay? And I said for a scalp idea, with what I had to work with, one was short on a clean break of this towards there as first objective, and this as second objective. So these are the exact same levels from last week. They both got hit, okay? And the long idea was a clean break above the range high, which we'll get to. Another trade I took based on the weekly open, so I posted that on Twitter anyway, was because we didn't have the information at the time, but it was this long here, and I said above the, once we have a Monday's range established, which was Monday's high, Monday's low, I took this one, and the breakout play above here, okay, I mean I'm going to use this range high, so it comes in line with this level anyway, you know, more or less. Here, the breakout play was here. Now this is similar play, okay, towards here. The only difference is, actually, let me do my other chart because it's easier to explain. So I'm going to flip-flop between the charts, so just deal with it. So when we were taking the long here, okay, we had a clear objective to reach for, which was our range high level, which we marked at a macro key high time frame level. But here, taking it, okay, what was the next level here? Now, this trigger, break of a key level, consolidation that took it above, there's your trigger. If you don't like that, you had that, that's fine. Invalidation level there, reached our target. It's from the, not last week, the week before. Now this one, same setup again, break of the key level, trigger. Now it's enough to take something off, but it had no follow through. That's the only issue. So trade management is just as important, if not more sometimes, than just the trigger entry. Trigger entry is just an excuse to get in. But when things not going well, okay, you gotta change. So I did not personally take this, okay? I was just so uncomfortable taking this. But this was a valid trigger in violation level if it gets back below here. Or you could have just placed it here, you know, as a hard stop, okay? But the moment it was to get back below here, that's no good. Now, at what point did I not like this? Is when it started to, it was looking heavy at this point. At this point, you'd allowed it. But when it starts breaking down like this, that is your trigger to get out, okay? So in future reference, if it's not going to plan, I'd cut it. The targets were towards here and then there. They still remain the upside objectives if it's going to go up. Just to remind you, what are those targets? It's basically this high here and just that high there. That's all. So let's move forward now. So is everybody clear with that? I just briefly went over what we did last week. Is everybody clear with those two? Yep. So the triggers from last week and this week. Well, the trigger from last week. So let's continue now. Okay, what's happening here? So if we quickly go to this chart, right, the only issue I'm having is look what's happening now. So if we keep in mind this key level, okay, that's going to be the main level. Look what's happening to price. Previously, it was a deviation here, got back below it. It was a deviation. It was a deviation here, then got back below it. The issue I'm having now, because it's such a huge level after such a run up, it's getting difficult to hold a position unless there's a clean confirmation above this level here. Whereas here, okay, that's fine. You met an extreme objective. But now we're coming into the phase where it's really, if it cleanly holds above here, we're probably heading to all-time high, or at least towards here. So it looks a bit exhausted to me, and that's why it's getting difficult to go for swing positions unless it's, you know, makes a clean breakout above this key level. This is my key level going forward. So the question is this gonna be a deviation now like this? That does not mean, you know, I'm not bullish bigger picture. It just means, okay, deeper pull back, then get long again. Okay, so let's go over those plans. So zooming in, we've got this level here. So let's, for the final time, we'll switch to this chart. That same range high level is this level here. So I'm just going to label that. Okay, I don't need to label it. Just remember that this level here is that range high level. Okay, so I don't have to flip flop all the time. So save your question till the end. Okay, save your question till the end just so I can focus, and then we'll get to it. So what's happening here? So not to forget our two ranges of illusion. That's our key high time frame, range high level, and then short term. This was the initial November high. So that's going to be my range high. It's proven itself here. It's starting to prove itself here, okay? And the bounces are becoming more shallower. That's sort of making me think, hang on a minute, a deeper pullback's coming, okay? And obviously the range low is just here. And this is the mid-range, November's mid-range, that's all. Now, what's also going to be important is last week's, well, let's say like this week's, which will be last week in a couple of hours, Monday's high and Monday's low. So let's go over the plans for this week. I mean, I don't like trading on a Sunday or weekend, okay? But say we stay here. Hopefully, I hope we do stay here heading into the weekly close. What I'll be looking for is a couple of plays. I'll play level to level until it becomes, you know, one could evolve into a swing trade. But Monday's, this here, when on the first retest, where it broke out, this should have held. And the bullish structure is obviously, you know, the SR levels that are holding, you know, resistance before, resistance, support, etc. That should have gone there, in my opinion. Okay, if it was going to go higher. If it had done that and held, that would have been a decent long, at least as a day trade scalp towards here, and then that level. It's doing the opposite now. So what I will do is I'll keep this level in mind if it does break out. So the levels that I support before are going to be the same levels again. So let's change that around. Let's do this here. Okay. There, that's the S off. So what I'll be looking for is, if we break below here, that would mean, okay, that's a deviation of Monday's high, coupled with the fact that the bounces are becoming more shallower. If it breaks below, you should all know by now my entry trigger, not the breaking mark structure. No point asking me to go through the videos because I've been through it many times. That would be a trigger towards the weekly open. If this setup is, you're thinking to yourself, I'm not too happy with that, what is the next setup? Weekly open strategy. Okay, so the weekly open strategy is, and this is just playing the Monday's range, that's all it is. If it breaks below here, if I don't like that entry, or if I put a small position on, clean break below here, hold, then that would be a shorting opportunity towards low of the week. Okay, and then we approach a key area. This is the key area now, where the mid-range, which has proven itself here, and most importantly proven itself here. That will be objective there. So those are the two plays I'm looking for. I'll probably just take it once the new week starts. If it nukes before that, I'll wait for the next setup. But before I continue, are those two plays clear? Does that make sense? Yes? No? Okay, so those are the two short plays I'll be waiting for. If this drops now, if this sets up now, I'll probably leave it. Okay, I just have a rule that I don't like trading so close to the weekly close. So the one I'll be waiting for is here. So it's a clean SR level, it's the weekly open, it's a pivot, because once it broke out, this swing low is what led to that high there. So if it breaks below, ideally what I usually like to see is, say I don't like to see, a quick snipe through a level. I don't like that. That usually means we usually get pullbacks. So if you look at historically, right, whenever you get a clean break like that from a level, that usually means it's gonna snap. It usually snaps back. Okay, what I would like to see, coming to the new week, bounce, create some sort of consolidation, then break, then that for me would be a higher probability, and that's just taking out the stop from previous week's low, and that's it. That's what it is. Okay, keeping in mind that if we do close the week below here, we get that deviation, don't we? Remember I said at the beginning, that then becomes a deviation, and what's happened historically when it does that, it comes deeper. I'm not saying it's game over. I'm saying probability of a deeper pullback is quite high at that point. Okay, my targets are just swing highs and swing lows on SR level. Go back at where I mentioned the targets and you'll see the answers there. Okay, so let's continue now. So that's that. The other play is, okay, if that then starts evolving, then that probably means if we break below last week's Monday's low, which would also be last week's low, picture how the weekly candle is looking like then. So if we picture this, right, just say this, that's current week's candle, right? And that's that low. So what would that look like? So the new week starts, I don't know, just say, for example, say whatever here. If we trade below this and hold, that means probability wise, not only probability wise, bringing into effect that this is a key level, this is becoming a deviation. Looking historically, it leads to a decent pullback or sell off. That means that this break should probability wise, based on everything else I mentioned, not on its own, but coupled with the context, okay, would suggest to me a deeper pullback within November's range. Okay, and this could just be, November could just be a range bound month, which would be good for us really, wouldn't it? So what would determine that for me would be the mid-range. Okay, so at this point, say if it does sell off wherever, I'll be watching this carefully, because if it comes into here and then bounces and then deviates as a stop run of the low of the week into a key level, then that could be a range bound play back in towards here. Okay, so what I would look for then is break, and then this is the decision point. If it breaks below that and holds the inverse, okay, here, that would then target towards previous all-time high. So these key higher time frame levels will be magnets for price. You can see how that was resistance there. Once that broke, then we got the expansion. That would then be a target from there towards there as my main objective. After that, it's bonus. If it does clear this level, then the stops are going to be resting here then. Okay, range low, which is November's low of the month. Secondary objectives would then be there. So is everybody clear as to how I'm going to play it? So there's short-term plays, if it gives me that, from there towards there. Then after that, from there towards there. Then this point, I'm going to see what happens. If it follows, if it consolidates, then breaks down, then that's going to be my trigger plan. That target, then that target. So far, so good. Don't worry, we'll get to the bullish plans. But that be the plans. If this happens, then I will step in. Okay, it's got to follow the plan. I mean, and then after that, let's just mark out, just in case there is a deeper sell-off, where would be the area where we were looking for before. I mean, we're going to be careful here, because this is a big consolidation, but I mean, the ideal scenario would have been here, wouldn't it? I mean, this way I would love a pullback and then load up on a big swing play to the upside, where this region here, we spoke about this previously before, where keep in mind, this is November's low, monthly low. Okay, so if it deviates, this is the area I'll be watching for a possible, I mean, obviously the big plays are happen after the deep pullbacks, aren't they? For example, say this was a consolidation here. Okay, retest, sell off, buying opportunity. So whatever it happen, it doesn't matter. And this is just a pullback. Is it going to be a higher low or not? We'll see. So for here, just to repeat what I said before, I mean, that's previous all-time high, but this is a key low. So if it comes into here, I mean, depending on what we've got here, I personally don't blindly buy it. Okay, I'll see what we got here. If it gives me the bullish price, actually, first sign would be a deviation back above here, ideally back above previous all-time high. This would then be considered as a deviation, okay, of this key level. If that happens, I'll probably start here depending on what I've got. But as each level gets broken to the upside, the probability increases. Around here is going to be my main play. The moment it gets back above this level, proves to me that mark was a deviation, then I'll probably start going for new highs. Okay, so is that clear with the downside? So the buying opportunity, ideally I would love a sell-off here. that's what I'll be loading up, okay? But if it doesn't, we'll see. The other side is, okay, what if it is the breakout play? Okay, what if it is? What if it just is, you know, market's just getting exhausted, and technically it hasn't really broken down just yet. Okay, it's not really broken down, so we got to be prepared for the upside. So what I would like to see is any deep pullbacks welcome. So the first play would be, there's a couple of plays here I've got. Okay, one is if I look at this swing play, okay, from that high to that low, this Monday's high is still capping the market, coupled with that range high. We haven't made a clean breakdown below that. It's only until we do that is when I can say shorts. And another thing is where I prefer the weekly open for my shorting, is because what if this is a short-term deviation? Any movement below here is a short-term deviation. The fact that it's broken the weekly open would be further displacement away from below the range high we're using. That would increase the probability of the short idea, and that's why I prefer it. Not just because you know, it's a entry trigger, it's the probability is higher here because it's broken below the range high. I'm giving it a chance to see if it's a deviation or not. The fact that it further breaks down at SR level proves to me the market wants to break down, at least short term. Okay, that's that covered. So what about the long plays? Well, obviously let's see how the week unfolds, but the higher probability long plays would be each SR level can be used as a pivot for a long. So let's go over these levels again. So here at this point, right, it's a big reaction. So the fact that I get a big reaction of it says to me it's a level that I can use, where if I get my trigger, it's going to cause a big movement in price. So that's going to be a pivotal level. So what I want to do is I'm going to wait, okay? And these are the plans. So, and I'm only taking this once the new week starts, okay? Because probability of a weekend big mover isn't as high, and that's the main reason. Price action, my strategy doesn't work so well on the weekends. So what I would look for is, say this was the new week starting. Oopsie daisy, I don't know what happened there. Two plays. Hold on, let me mark out this level. One would be this high here, okay? Because you got to remember, what's the new range set above this Monday's high? This is the range, okay? And this is more or less mid-range, okay? So it would be a start off with a range play which could evolve. Scenario one is if it gets back above here. So this is SR, holds the breaking market structure pattern, the trigger entry. Watch previous videos if you're still unsure about that. That's a long for me towards there as first objective, and then secondary objective is 16,700. You should know that. Why those are the targets. Then it's a matter of, okay, what if this new week starts swing failure and breaks back down? Well, this is where we're gonna see. Just like I showed here, that's a key level. What was the key level here? The key level, remember we took the swing long? This was that key level, okay? So once it proves itself, okay, once it breaks above, proves itself, that's a trigger. I'll be looking for, say if it breaks above here, consolidates, I'll be looking for the trigger here. I need to see this happen here to prove to me that the level is broken and holding, and then that will be my trigger for that objective there. Is that clear? So I'll play it from there, target 1, target 2, and then I'll see what happens. If it nukes straight through, that's okay, that's fine. I'll hold the position. But if it starts breaking down from here, that's probably a sign. Get out. Then I'll wait, and I'll wait for that plan I've just mentioned. Break out at this level. Prove to me it's holding. Once it does, just like we got here or here, and even this was a trigger, technical trigger long as well. I'll be looking for this down here. Everybody clear with that? So either we get that plan or the nuke for the deeper pullback. Any question on what I've been over so far? So the key point to take from is I'll wait, okay? Unless I get what I want to see, I'm probably not in the position, okay? You don't have to justify every single move. There's different strategies that you can use. That's up to you. This is just basic SR, identifying the ranges, and that's it. Current top has a lot of time spent at the high. Would be easier run for the stops with the, I don't know. I mean, break back inside of them. I mean, I think you're overcomplicating it there. Just keep it simple. Let me read that again. Current top has a lot of time spent at the high. I see. This is the thing. See, the fact that it's not really. I mean, if it does, I mean, the fact that it's done all of this. Okay, so if I'm correct in understanding it, if you've done all this, and then when it breaks, then that would be a higher probability short for me. Okay. I've explained trigger plans. You'll have to go through the previous videos for trigger plans. I've already done that. Okay. It's in the previous videos. Okay. If you go through the Bitcoin for Legends videos, it's in there. I've gone over it many times. I'll just be repeating that. Okay. But it's more detailed than them, so just go watch that. How do you deal with exchange time, for example, Asians? I mean, I just trade my sessions. I mean, I used to stay up all night, but if I stay up all night, I get tired. And if I'm tired, my mind's not working properly. And if my mind's not working properly, then I'm not making clear decisions. So I'll just trade my time. I live in the UK, so London session and New York session I can trade. That's it. You don't have to catch every single move. I catch what's available in my session. Okay, that's important as well. Like the other week, I didn't get much sleep, and I missed out a lot of setups. Okay. So is everybody clear with those plans so far? Just let's stick to this plan, what I've been over. Is everybody clear with what I've been over? Whenever we start to nuke on the daily chart, we start to have a long week. It could be. I mean, I could say we don't know. That's why I don't know if it's gonna nuke from here. All I know is if it breaks this level, where's the next high probability level here? If it breaks that level, what's the next high probability level here? So I've got no bias. Okay, no bias at all. I'm just playing it level to level. Okay. So if it means removing the word bias, then do that. I don't know what it's going to do from here. All I know is if this happens, then I take action to play towards that level. Anything below, and if it just nukes, okay, then that's just a bonus. But from there towards there, if I get my trigger, is my probability. From there towards there, from there towards there, no biases, just playing each level. That's it. Okay, sometimes I think we get too caught up. Happens to me as well sometimes. Sometimes I get too married to a bias. But what I do now, after years, is I do less of it. That's one difference. I still make many silly mistakes, but I do less of it. And if I am going to go in a bit aggressive, I do less risk. That's how I tackle it. And if it's going my way, I up my risk. And that's it. I mean, what I'm saying isn't anything complicated, is it? It's a key high time frame level, a deviation of a level, and targets, that's it. Is it possible to state the price of the key? I mean, if you zoom in, you can see the key levels. I mean, this is a BitMEX chart, so zoom in, you can see it. Do you close at the level? I mean, it depends. So for example's sake, right? Say I got long here, okay? And it came into this level. Now, this level is a key resistance level, as you can see, because it led to a sell-off. Now, if it breaks down, technically, that's a bearish sign, isn't it? Could be a bearish trigger. Getting that trigger would mean get out my longs. That's the trigger for me to get out the longs. If it smashes through the level, then I'll manage it and say, okay, at that point, where should it not go below? It should not go below this level then, should it? So that's how I treat it, if you want to treat it like that. So if I got a bearish trigger here, that would be a trigger to get out my long. Does that make sense? So for example's sake, say I shorted here for whatever reasons, and had a main target 1 there, target 2 there, but if it got to here, and instead of holding it, if it came here and then gave me something bullish, that means get out, doesn't it? So I'll get out. But if it got below it, then that's just extra bonus. So that way I don't have to hold it. And because it's the key level, you could easily just do this, reclaim, and that's a dip, and push back up, who knows? It makes sense? Okay. So I think those plans are clear. Both bullish and bearish plans. We just wait for the trigger. That's a, how do I dollar cost average? That's a whole hour on its own. I'll probably avoid that. I don't praise hard targets. I just say have a higher time frame. For example, say when I was long here, that was a higher time frame objective we spoke about. Why it's a key level? I don't know. I just place levels that are probability wise high. I mean, instead of putting all time high, what's the next higher time frame or key level? That's it. Well, you're probably gonna have to change things if you do that. That's a teaching session on its own. I can't answer that in too much detail. Okay, so that's that. I think that's clear. And as usual, a little habit going on. Let's cover one alt within 2 minutes. Okay, XRP USD is the one I've decided on. So, quick 2-minute breakdown of XRP USD. We've got quarterly open. Okay, so far it's looking like it's turning. This is the consolidation. Is it a breakout holding? Okay, let's see. So what's the key level right now? the key level for me would be previous month's high. So let's mark that out. And the fact that can it hold above it or not is the thing. So it's just gonna be a short-term play. A weekly, what's that looking like? Okay, weekly, it's broken out. Consolidation, many weeks or months, whatever, of consolidation. You can see the range low here acting as the quarterly opens, acting as it. Is this a fake out or a breakout is the question. Okay, let's go to the daily now. What's the daily saying to us? Now, daily's not looking too bright, is it? So, if I wanted to play it down, if we deviate back below here, and that would mean that's a fake out into key resistance, the low that caused that high. Okay, you can see that's key SR level, support, deviation, resistance. Then that would just mean back into the range, the consolidation that initiated that leg up, and the quarterly open, that would be an objective. So let's go deeper down into a lower time frame and say, okay, so question is it bullish or bearish? Okay, so probability wise, I think because that's previous month's high, one attempt failed, another attempt failed. Well, we've broken out now. This is it. This is my thing now. What do I do here? Do I long it or do I short it? So if it comes back below here and starts breaking down, then that's a breakdown, that's a deviation. Then I would probably look for shorts towards here, and we'll see what happens after that. But that would be a high probability target in my opinion. How would I take this long? We're going to look at what's capping the market to the upside. What's capping the market, I'd say probably this level here. Okay, you can see support. Key, that is the low that caused that high, and taking it to the left, it's been a key pivot anyway. It's finding resistance there. So you break out above there, then this is the key range high. This is my make or break point. What it's going to be? Is it going to be a breakout or not? I don't know. But if it does that, that's a further breakout away. That's a bullish sign. Trigger. Where's the next objective? Probability wise, I mean, I like to go with more conservative targets, just so it's a guaranteed fill or guaranteed, you know, target. I'll go for probably this high here. Why do I go with this high? Because we've got a spike there, support there, resistance. That's more probable. I mean, sometimes we get the extreme one. I don't care. So target 1 and then target 2. And that's it. Let's take this whole leg. Let's see if there's a confluence with the mid-range. Take a high to the low. And just so happens that this level here, where I'm looking to take the long, lines up with the mid-range. Excellent confluence. That'll be my long. Target 1, target 2. If it breaks back down below here, wait for the breakdown. Trigger, target, done. Is that clear? So that's it. See which one it follows. Whichever one it follows, then I got my trigger. Okay, and as you know, obviously, if XRP collapses, Bitcoin goes to... Oh, I'm joking. Let's not go there before I start triggering people. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think we covered it. So, you know, the Bitcoin plans. See which one happens, and a bit on XRP. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Helps a lot if you want this streams to keep going. And I'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.